Hey guys, so we are jamming about wellness, commitment, discipline, and getting out of our own way with Jackie Dragone today as we talk about the importance of wellness no matter what stage of life that you're at, especially if you are at busy o'clock. So, Jackie is a health and wellness professional with over 10 years of experience in the industry. Her mission is to keep people healthy and moving to enhance every other area of their life. She is the owner and founder of the online fitness platform, TheLab, which is super cool. And definitely check out the show notes on this one because she has an amazing opportunity for us to dive right into the lab. She is also coaching other fitness and wellness professionals on how to take their business online. So sit back, relax, enjoy as we jump in with Jackie for today. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the MindRise podcast on Apple, Spotify, we're on YouTube and Google Play as well. All right, without further ado, can't wait till you guys get to meet Jackie. All right, Jackie, I'm so excited to have you on with us today. So Jackie and I met when we were both speakers at a wellness conference in Philly called the Selfish Conference. And I loved even like the title of it because it was about, taking care of yourself. So Jackie gets on stage and she's talking about health and wellness from these lenses and this perspective that like I couldn't stop nodding my head and be like, yup, and that too. and yes, that. So I'm really excited to have Jackie joining us for today to talk about health and wellness, not only like the importance of it at our different life stages, but also like how to work it into our life when we're just so stinking busy. Because I don't care how many hats you wear, everybody feels really busy these days. So Jackie, yay, you're here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so happy that we met on that day at the conference.
Yes. So, let's start at just the very beginning because that's what everyone always wants to know. Like, how did you get into health and fitness? Because this has been a passion of yours for over a decade or more, right?
Yeah, for a really long time. So growing up, I was a dancer. And then obviously, as I got older, this may or may not be the most healthy way to get into fitness, but you become very body aware. And at the same time, going on around me was, I came from this big Italian family that really loved food, but their health was not great. Like it was butter, it was sugar, it was bread and all the things, which was like fine and a lot of fun. But I also saw like what it was doing to their health. And I was like, no, not me, like not me. So in high school, I started making my own meals and cooking more vegetables and like probably like my mom's amazing, but probably really making her mad. So like, I'm not going to eat that all the time anymore. And just like really became not overly, just like appropriately, probably at the time, health conscious. So like what I was putting into my body, how it was affecting me, how it would fuel me to dance. And even like complete honesty, the vanity of like, well, how do I want to look as a dancer? There was that pressure, which is a separate conversation. But that was like my initiation into health and wellness. And then long story short, moved to New York City, was auditioning, dancing, like the whole thing. Was really, really tired of auditioning for like, and getting like little gigs out of it instead of like the big thing. And one day I was like, you know what? I was in a Pilates class and I was like, I could do this. I could teach this. It was like one of those life aha moments.
Right.
And Dang. The rest is history. Yeah, that was like early 2000s. And here I am.
I love it. Well, and since then, not only did you have that like that ding, that aha, that awakening, but you've taken your business from and your expertise from in person to you are the founder of that online fitness platform, TheLab. You want to talk to us a little bit about how that came to be and what the lab's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent my career, a lot of it developing workouts for companies or taking their current workout and coaching other instructors on how to like best teach it. So I've been coaching on both ends for over a decade. And doing that, I really got to find out like what works and what doesn't in a workout, and also for a woman's body, and also for fun, and also what's engaging. And my dance background has been the absolute like godsend, perfect blessing for sequencing workouts, because it just comes natural to me because I understand the body so well. So I just like have this gift for sequencing workouts. So I was like, I really want to create a fun workout that's to the beat of the music, but makes sense for the body. So before TheLab was born, it actually stemmed from my own method called Rhythm Lab. And this was a total body workout on the beat of the music, where we were doing some cardio and like weightlifting, strength training on the beat. And it like combined everything that I love. So pre-pandemic, I started teaching this in person twice a week, and it was taking off. Like looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was selling out. It was taking off. I was adding classes. And then just like out of nowhere, like everybody else, here comes the pandemic. So I was like, all right, I'm going to move this workout online, but the nature of it was meant to be something fun that you do like twice a week. It wasn't a full program, right? So I had to pivot a little bit, make Rhythm Lab a tiny part of the lab, the big umbrella thing. And I took all of my expertise, and now the lab includes Rhythm Lab. It's, child. And then it also includes a couple strength training workouts and a Pilates based workout. So now it's an entire program under one umbrella, and there's 5 new workouts a week, and they all complement each other and get people results.
I love that. I love that. And that key word, oh my God, Jackie, I could have jumped out of my skin when you said it, like pivot, right? It's like when we have something that we're doing and it's like, hot damn, this is working. Like I feel good. I'm in my zone of genius. Like other people are attracted to this, right? And we have those different metrics of like, I'm adding more. I'm doing what I love. Like I'm living my purpose. And then the record scratch.
Yep, exactly.
Time to pivot, which could be a time where we're just like, all right, well, let me pack it up, pack it in. And instead, like you pivoted and grew it, right? From a class to this is a whole program. So just, because, I can't help myself, because a lot of what MindRise does is about mastering your mindset. So would you mind like taking us like behind the kimono of, what was happening behind the scenes for you in your mindset of like, and again, earmuffs for any kids, if you're listening to this, and this might be the earmuffs moment, but like when shit hit the fan and you're in the WTF space, like talk to us about feeling the WTF, pivoting, and like what your mindset was about that like, and I'm sure that you had some like, cry it out moments, but like, walk us through, like, what's the mindset that had you actually create the lab instead of just kind of laying on the floor and throwing a tantrum like most of us wanted to?
Yeah, it was like survival instinct, to be 100% honest, because it was crazy. So while I was developing the lab, I still had a full-time job with Flywheel Sports. So I was their talent director for the Philadelphia and the DC location. The pandemic hit. They shut down right away. They laid us all off about 4 days later. I had like poured my heart and soul into that job, and I was doing it for over 3 years. And then the night, like I literally got off the call with my boss where they laid us all off, and I went and I taught a class virtually, and I just went. I was like, this is it. This is survival instinct. Like I have to keep alive, like the thing that I do. And, looking back, there are some, like obviously a whole business came out of that. So that's incredible. But also building a business on scarcity is another layer. When I look back, I can see what I did wrong and what I would do different had I had a complete sound, clear mindset at the time, despite everything that was going on, when the business became my full-time thing.
Right. And Jackie, I love that perspective, because you're right. It's a yes, this awesome thing came to be. And I realize now, even hindsight,
Mm-hmm.
almost 2 years later, like, well, that was born from making sure I didn't drown.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it sounds like it was something that in some ways was percolating for you, but having the time, space, and even the catalyst of like, don't die, really brought it to life in a way that maybe it wouldn't have come together in that in that exact capacity, if you will.
I 100% believe that because I was dragging my feet. I wanted to do it for so long. And I was afraid because I had this really cushy full-time job that I loved. I really liked my job. And I don't know that I would have like kicked my own ass out the door. So it's like the world did it for me.
Right. Well, you make a good point.
Yeah.
And for everybody who's like listening or watching on YouTube, that's pay attention to those moments, right? Pay attention to those moments when, you've been leaving it on the shelf for like someday and maybe, and I will, and I'll get to that, or I'm just so busy. And then like you keep saying that, you keep it on the shelf, and either it's going to stay on the shelf and like you die a slow death, or the universe is going to kick your ass a little bit and be like, oh, you said you wanted to do that? Well, giddy up. Let's do that.
Yep.
Like, let's make that happen. Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely. So getting into kind of like the meat and potatoes, my friend, of our conversation for today, but like we talk about wellness at every stage of life. And yes, for our podcast, like we talked to both men and women. And I think we all go through like different life stages and changes, but I could say where I'm at right now just kind of feels like busy o'clock. So what does it actually mean? Like, how are you defining wellness, and like, how are we actually integrating it into this stage of life, which feels really freaking busy and dedicated to almost everybody and everything else?
It's a priority, and that's it. Like, bottom line, like it's a priority, period. And everybody is really busy. And especially if you have kids in the mix, that makes it even busier. But I really think you have to come from a place of, I don't care if I have to set the alarm 30 minutes earlier, I will do it and make it happen. If you look at the course of a day, there are moments when we just let the time slip through our fingers, and time is so valuable. So you kind of have to identify what those moments are for yourself. And it doesn't mean that you're going to like stop in that moment at like randomly when you're in your office and like you find yourself like Googling something or shopping online or whatever it is. But it does mean that you can give yourself back that time, either at the beginning or the end of the day, if you use it wiser. So it's overall awareness. But I really, truly believe that like, wellness has to be your priority, because if you get sick, if you don't feel good, you're going to feel fatigue. Your energy levels are going to be lower. Your mindset isn't going to be great. You're not going to feel happy. And this affects every other area of your life. So like the one thing we can do to prevent all of that is to take care of ourselves. It's like building the foundation of a house. If you build a house without like a cement base or, the foundation, it falls down. So I just think it has to be a priority, like tough love, period. And if it's not for you, it's going to come back and kick you in the butt one day.
Yeah. It's funny because it almost feels like like she said what she said type of moment. Like she said that we need to do this, tough love, period. And yeah, sometimes we want to like finesse it and ease it. But the truth is like, if you want to live a full life and you want to live a life where you can actually say yes to your goals and show up in them, well, you've got to take care of the vessel, which is your body, in order to do those things.
Absolutely. And the body and the mind are so intertwined that if you don't move, and let's also back up for a second. And I think maybe the fitness industry as a whole and the wellness industry has done a brilliant job at convincing us that we have to do all or nothing, or like, 6 or 7 days a week for it to be effective. But I'm just saying, can you find 30 minutes 3 times a week for yourself? Like, don't tell me you can't do that. Everyone can find 30 minutes 3 times a week for yourself to move your body in a way that feels good. And if you have other specific kind of goals, like if you have a weight loss goal, if you have a body recomposition goal, now we're talking about something different. But at a base level, can you move your body 3 times a week for 30 minutes and just know, just like you're putting money in the bank for the future, for your investments, this is the same thing for your health. This is your investment in your health.
Right. I love your perspective about the all or nothing. And I think that you're right. The wellness and health industry have done a really good job of saying all or nothing. Like you must do this every single day. And I don't know that that's always realistic.
Exactly.
But where is that? So, and what it felt like you were talking about even earlier than that was like the commitment to like, you have to do it, right?
Mhm.
You have to do it.
Mhm.
So where do those
Mhm.
two things intersect where, okay,
Mhm.
you have to do it, even if it's like setting the alarm for 30 minutes earlier, and then
Mhm.
like all or nothing, it's like 2 hours of working out 6 days a week if you want to like bounce a quarter off your ass. Like, I mean, like, what's the intersection that actually
What
has
yeah.
us like in the zone of wellness?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's different for each individual. So it depends what you have going on, right? So if there's, well, I have a woman like this. She's incredible. She's a mom of four and she runs a business, and her youngest isn't even a year. She works
Hmm.
out with me 3 times a week. That's it. She recently lost 17 pounds, and it's a priority for her.
Right.
And those 3 workouts happen no matter what. And, um, that's sustainable for her. And it's a priority. So here's the intersection, right? What is sustainable for you? But it also has to be a priority once you decide what that is.
Right.
Right. Somebody like me, I run a business. I'm super busy. I have 0 employees yet. I have a ton of clients, but I don't have any kids, so I can work out 5 days a week.
Right.
So that's sustainable for me. My body gets rest,
Hmm.
and it's also a priority. So I think it's finding that.
I love
I
that.
love.
And think about that, everyone, like the intersection between what is sustainable. I know for me being a mom that when my daughter wakes up, it's game on. And it's really like, her name's Phoebe. So it's like, it's Phoebe o'clock. And I
Mhm.
have one contestant. I mean, I couldn't imagine my head spinning with four, but regardless, like, even if it's you and your partner or you and your roommate,
Mhm.
whatever the situation is, if I'm getting my workout in, that's either happening before she gets up or after she goes to school.
Mhm.
Because when I try to jam both things in to
Mhm.
that time, I don't do either one of them well. And I end up feeling like garbage about myself, which then creates a narrative around like, "Ah, I don't have time to work out." And it's like,
Yeah.
no, let's go back to what you're saying. What's sustainable, right? And then
Mhm.
what's a priority?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how you interjected with like the time, because that's so key. I mean, honestly, people will be like, I'm not a morning person or I'm not a night person. It's like, well, when are you? I'll definitely do it person. Like when in your schedule is I can definitely do it. If you do have a really busy life, it really does come down to that. And it's discipline. It's really not motivation. It's the discipline.
Mm. So, okay, so you'll like this. I've been working on my next book. And one of the things that I was writing about recently is about commitment, right?
Hmm.
And we are, as human beings, we are so wired to, I'll commit to that job, that yes, that baking of cookies, that carpool, that, that assignment, that task. Well, I'll do that for you and I'll do that for you. And right. And our list
Hmm.
becomes all of the commitments that we give onto others, like whether it's a commitment to a friendship, a commitment to a parent, a partner, but like, what about the commitments to ourselves? And are we
Yeah.
taking them seriously? So I would love your mindset perspective around commitment and,
Hmm.
and how commitment does a dance with discipline.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think commitment to yourself, it really comes down to like the bigger picture of what it is that you want for your life. It's almost like you have to sit down and be like, okay, what do I want for my life? What is it going to take for me to get there? Reverse engineer it. And what do I have to do every day? What do I have to be committed to in my daily life to get to where I'm going?
Right.
Right. And then the discipline is almost like boundaries as well. Okay. So I know that like these 3 things are going to get me to my goal. So every day, no matter what, I need to make these 3 things, whatever they are for you, happen. And that's the discipline. And it's also sometimes communicating that to the people in your life or the people that you love. Like, hey, this is my goal and these 3 things have to happen. And then outside of that, I can help you with whatever it is that you want me to help you with. Or if you have a young child or a baby at home, it becomes harder. Now it's like, okay, I'm really committed to myself because I can't have a conversation with my baby that literally can't do anything for themselves. So I have to wake up earlier, stay up later, like you said. So I think that that's the intersection is really clarity, identifying what you're committed to,
Right.
and then finding the way to do it. And sometimes you really have to communicate with those around you. This is important to me. It's a priority.
Well, I think you're right. Like taking a stand for ourselves, and we don't have to be like standing against something else, but
Nope.
taking a stand for yourself and saying, like, this is a priority for me, like to myself. And then just communicating that to the people around them, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
so this is a priority to me. Like, I think so often we seek to people please, right? How can I
Mm-hmm.
do for you? Right? The
Mm-hmm.
tendency to be givers, like, how can I do for you in order for you to approve of me or like me or be connected to me?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what do you think about like when we make ourselves a priority and say that out loud and instead flip the script and invite other people to support us?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Yeah,
that's changing the game.
it is. And I think that it in turn will lead to a stronger relationship because it's like now the expectation is clear.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
expectation is clear. It's also kind of attractive. If somebody said to me, I really want A, B, and C for myself, so I'm going to do these three things every day, I'd be like, great, you are ambitious. You're a go getter. You have goals. I like that. It's
Right.
respectable. And we're
Right.
just saying, we're looking at it as selfish, and it's not.
It's funny because I often, and I'm by no means perfect or haven't figured out. Oh no, I think that's why I'm in the work that I do is because I'm
Yeah.
like forever figuring it out. But I often get the comment from people like, "How do you do it all?" And I
Hmm.
usually default to saying like, "Oh, I don't do it all because I delegate. I have a team. I have help." Ba, ba, ba. But Jackie, now that we're talking about it, it gets me thinking like, how do I do it all? There are certain things that I make a priority.
Hmm.
And living optimally and like feeling my best in my body is so important to me because feeling like garbage sucks and it impacts so many
Hmm.
other aspects of my day, whether it's my energy level or my focus
Hmm.
and concentration, brain
Hmm.
fog, even my patience. Like if
Hmm.
if I don't feel good about myself or if I don't have the energy, I'm snippy. I'll just be honest. I am not like A plus material by any stretch. So I eat a certain way because that's what feels good for my body because I've taken the time to figure it out and I don't want to not feel good. Like I make sure that I work out, you know, every day I move my body somehow, even if it's like I'm going to really hardcore clean the house, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I move my body in some way because when I don't, I am like a Jack Russell Terrier that hasn't been out for a walk. I'm itchy.
Yes.
And it's like, so I'm curious from you, like when we talk about wellness and we talk about living optimally, what does
Hmm.
it take to develop a mindset of knowing yourself really well, like knowing your particular recipe and figuring it out? Like, what are the tips that we could give
Hmm.
to people about figuring out their particular recipe? Because that's just mine. Like,
Hmm.
and that doesn't mean that I don't have wine. It doesn't mean that I don't have chocolate. Like, believe me, those are also on
Hmm.
the menu. But when I eat garbage, I feel like garbage. So guess what? I don't like to feel like garbage. So I don't eat garbage
Hmm.
regularly. Um,
Hmm.
and I know I need to work out, or I'm a cranky person who hasn't had recess. So I make sure that I do that. But like, how do people figure out their own recipe?
Hmm. I mean, first thing you have to do is take action and try a few things. As long as you're taking action, then there's really no wasted time because you're going to try different things on for size. It's when you sit and in indecision, then okay, nothing is going to get figured out, right? So
Right.
just try a few things. I think, we know that we need to, I mean, at a basic level, I would say we all know by now that eating garbage for almost any human is going to make you feel like garbage. You're different. You can pick like your poison on the side from that. Like my poison is probably French fries. Like I love them. But I would never eat them every day because I would feel like garbage and they're not good for me. And I want good heart health. I want a good, strong heart and, unclogged arteries and all the things that I really want above that. So it doesn't mean like all or nothing. It just is like at a basic level, we know as adults that eating garbage is going to result in you feeling like garbage. So like, what can you do in your own life? Like look at your own habits and where can you just start slowly, like clean it up a little bit or add in a few vegetables. Like don't even focus on taking things out yet. Like just start to add in and see what's making you feel good, like proteins and veggies, and see what makes you feel good. Pay
Right.
attention to that. I noticed for, something I had to pay attention to is my breakfast and how it set up my day. I have to have protein in the morning. Otherwise, I'm like so hungry for the rest of the day. Like I can't just eat a bowl of cereal. I will be ravenous and on the edge and not feel even in my blood sugar. So little things like this, you have to figure yourself out, but try. Same thing with working out. How does it feel to do 3 days a week? Is that great for you? Is that enough? Or do you still feel edgy and itchy? Do you need more? If you're not doing anything at all, can you just start walking and notice how your mental and your physical health change slowly? It's really trying things out, and also go into it with the expectation. If you're starting from 0, don't go to 100. And if you're at 50, maybe it's time to crank it up a notch.
Right. That's a great point. It's being in the game of trying different things and seeing what makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you, even on the breakfast aspect. Like if I do protein, it sets me up, no brain fog. I've got even keel energy throughout the day.
Yeah.
And girlfriend likes a pile of pancakes and some bacon. Like I am not gonna lie. But if I do that first thing, I'm toast for the rest of the day. So I could do one of those on a Saturday, just like on a Saturday or Sunday. And what I'll do is I'll make sure I do that as a brunch, like after I've worked out. And but it wasn't until, like, to your point, I'm active in trying to figure it out of what my recipe is, that I actually figured out what my recipe is. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not like no pancakes ever, or no French fries ever, right? Like we got to live our life.
We got to live our life.
Yeah. But like being in the game of saying like, oh, that's what works for me, so I'm going to do more of it.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that you said about Rhythm Lab workout, and now the program of the lab, was, and I meant to catch you on this, so I'm glad we're coming back to it, is that you found that you were really good at putting things together that worked well for the body. And I'm probably butchering what you said earlier, but so talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what does that actually mean? Does that mean as simple as, like, in workout terms, like we do our back and biceps, or is it a matter of like, okay, this is how you warm up the body, this is how you get it to be functioning optimally? Like, what does that actually mean to put together a program that considers a function of the body?
Yeah. So there are all different ways to like break down what you're going to work in a workout. So right now I do run a program that's like back and biceps, chest and triceps, and then glutes and shoulders. That's one way to do it. You could do it multiple ways. But what I mean is I think there's movement patterns, and just paying like strict attention to like, okay, if I do a certain kind of curl, then my body's going to want to be open, and I'm going to do something else next to make it feel open. So the repetitive pattern of things, because fitness does get repetitive, and I think it should be, I think it's very basic and we complicate it, but how to like string the repetition together so that your body feels great, instead of like, oh my God, I can't be in that position any longer.
Right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Like those different movement patterns.
Different movement patterns. Like, for example, like if you're going to work your back, there's a ton of bent over rowing in all different positions. Doesn't feel good to do that all in one string, because now your lower back has so much, going on. And I've taken other programs where I'm like, I would like interchange this a little bit with that, so that you can stand up out of that position and then go back into it later, and so on. So that kind of thing.
So I don't know, I'm probably speaking for myself, but also other people who are listening. I love what Jackie's talking about, but would I ever sit down and try to like figure it out and then like come up with a workout routine myself? No, I would not. So Jackie, you do have something that we can do so that we can try out what you're talking about. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? I know we're going to put it in the show notes, but walk us through, because I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, me too. So I have there's two things that I run through the lab. The lab, which is an online membership where you can, sign up and take the classes. It's very hands off on my end. You are like self-dedicated, ambitious, ready to go. Then I
So
have the lab.
anytime, sorry to interrupt you, but like
No.
anytime, or is it like classes at 7, classes at 8? Like,
Yeah, if you want to join me for the recording, then it's strict, but it goes to an on-demand library where you can access it anytime.
got it.
Then I have the Lab Plus, which is a strength training program that is guided, where you are strongly encouraged to come live, and that you get the best primetime spots. So we work out like 6 a.m., 6 p.m. and Sundays. So a morning and night and a weekend. And it's very guided, and it is like what I just said, back and biceps, chest and triceps, and then glutes and shoulders. So 3 days a week, hitting all the body parts, all the things. So I put together for you like a tiny mini version of that, especially if you're busy, where it's 3 workouts and they're 20 minutes or less. And there's a back and biceps, a chest and triceps, a glutes and a shoulders. And then I threw in as a bonus 2 other 30-minute workouts that are body weight, like HIIT cardio with some core work. So 5 workouts. At the minimum, I would do the 3 strength training. At a max, I would do all 5, and I would encourage you to do it for a month if you're starting from 0 and see how you feel.
I love that. I love that. Well, and that's so generous of you. So I just love the spirit of abundance there, because it can be so intimidating, whether it's like intimidating to start at the gym, or it's like intimidating, like, okay, I'm going to go on YouTube. And then you start something that like 7.5 seconds in, you're like, well, that's not happening for 30 minutes.
Right. Exactly.
So to be able to like hear this conversation with you and understand, like, okay, we're going to put things together in a sequence in which it's going to make sense. And we're going to, in the course of a week, work out the whole body, and like, hey, give it a month of starting this practice, whether you are new or whether you are like seasoned, but you want to do something new. I have to say, I'm really into the hand holding on this.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's just a really simple way. The thing I hear the most is I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I was like, all right, great. I'm going to create you something. Now, I know in the depth of my heart, if you can do this and find 20 minutes 3 times a week for a month, then you could do this for 40 minutes 3 times a week. Right. So prove to yourself the 20 and then come back to me and let's talk.
Right. And if you need any convincing, go to that part on your phone that tells you how much time you've been spending on all your social media.
Exactly.
platforms.
It's terrifying when I look at it. I'm like, how do I even have a functioning business?
I'm like so jealous of our parents sometimes.
I know.
They had all this time in the world. They had nothing being sucked up by cell phones or social media.
Nothing. But then they did have to like travel everywhere to talk to somebody. So we have that too.
Right. We do have some advantages being Jetsons.
Yeah.
But awesome. So for everybody who's listening, you guys can check out Jackie. We have everything in the show notes, but I always like to close with where you are hanging out. So if people want to check you out on social media or check out your website, give us a scoop. Where is Jackie hanging out?
I am on Instagram way too much. And it is my name, Jackie Dragone. That's it. Just at Jackie Dragone.
Jackie, would you also tell them about how they can get text messages from you? Because this, I love, I get these messages from Jackie every week. And I'm like, I got to get my life together.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So you can just text me the word MindRise, so I know where you came from. Text me MindRise to 610-486-3177. And yeah, we'll connect there.
Awesome. And we'll put that number in the show notes as well, because I love that you get a text message from Jackie. So whether it's food tips, so she's got like great menus that she shares, but also like workout, motivation, just questions that get your gears turning. I'm a big fan when I get my Jackie texts. So.
Yay, thank you. Thanks for being on my list.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, make sure you go check out the show notes, and make sure that if you are going to attempt any of the lab workouts, which I definitely will, and you're going to see on my social media, I will be sure to tag Jackie. Make sure that you tag Jackie as well, so that we can cheer you guys on as you're making time for yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was awesome to be here.
Very cool. Thank you.